Now this little guy running the O4 Pro literally fits inside your pocket and gets you shots like these. What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're building the WalleFPV Eagle2, a tiny 1.6-inch drone carrying the O4 Pro and weighing in at under 104 grams, battery included. This impressively compact build delivers all the O4 Pro benefits while being only slightly larger than a standard 75mm tiny hoop. It's the perfect tool to take your creativity to the next level. This was such a fun and unique build to put together, and it's given me the confidence to dive into new spots and record some really cool footage. You can either buy this kit and build one of these yourself following this guide, or grab a bind and fly or even ready to fly version directly from the WalleFPV website that I will link down in the video description. Huge thanks to WalleFPV for sending this kit over for me to make this video. Now let's crack open the box and see what's inside. Alright, we start off with these two bags of Jamfan 1608 tree blades that don't come with the kit. Just like the batteries, you will have to purchase them separately. We get these WalleFPV branded 1002 1400 kV motors that I think work perfectly with this build. And since this is the ELRS version, it comes with this 2.4 GHz ELRS receiver, more specifically the Betaflight Nano receiver. The brain of this drone is gonna be the DJI MCU F405 all-in-one flight controller. This thing looks clean and most of the soldering has already been done for you. Since this build includes a dedicated 3D printed battery support, you'll want to pick up these specific GMB 3S 380 mAh high voltage batteries. To keep things clear, as mentioned earlier, these are a separate purchase and aren't included in this kit. And now finally the star of this show, the Eagle2 frame that comes pre-assembled so you don't have to worry about losing any parts. These small white bags contain all the screws you're gonna need, as well as the battery support and even 2 screwdrivers to put this all together. I really like the design of this frame, and the carbon fiber plate mixed with the aluminum components not just make this a super lightweight frame, but it also makes it surprisingly durable. Oh, and you're definitely going to need a DJI O4 Pro for this build. If you set it next to the frame, they look like they belong in different worlds, but trust me, they are a perfect match. We're starting this build off by mounting the F405 all-in-one flight controller. It comes pre-assembled, which is a nice touch. It makes the whole process way faster since much of the soldering has already been done for you. Grab the right size screwdriver and unscrew these 4 screws at the bottom of your frame. We can put the top part aside for now and continue by removing the stack nuts. While we're here, I make sure the stack screws are nice and tight as well. Now grab your flight controller and make sure the power leads are aligned with the back side of your frame. Once it's on there, grab the stack nuts and screw them back on. Be careful not to over-tighten them. If they're too tight, you'll squash the rubber grommets and defeat the whole purpose of the soft mount. With the stack secured to our frame, we can now move on to mounting the motors. These are the WalleFPV branded 1002 1400 kV motors. Just like most small motors in this class, they come with these tiny M1.4 by 4mm Phillips head screws. But don't you worry, this kit comes with a set of spare motor screws, along with some extra screws for the frame as well. Before we start soldering the motors, we want to tape the wires down to the arms. Just cut some 40mm strips of the tape included in the kit and apply them like this to keep everything nice and tidy. Now for the soldering. You see me aligning the wires first, ensuring there is enough slack so they aren't under tension. Once I'm happy with the length, I snip them right above the solder pads. I like to strip the wire ends using my fingernails, aiming for a length about equal to the thickness of the flight controller, and then pre-tin those exposed tips. These pads are fairly small, so you can choose to solder the wire directly. However, if you aren't an experienced solderer, I definitely recommend pre-tinning the pads first to make things easier. Also, if you're struggling with dull or messy joints, just add a bit of flux. It will help you get that perfect shiny finish every time. The final soldering task is for this Betaflight Nano ELRS receiver, which will connect to UART4 on this flight controller. Grab the receiver, cut the cables to around 45mm in length and pre-tin the wires. I decided to move this power lead slightly so it doesn't block the ground pad for the receiver as much. You don't have to do this, but it allows me to solder the other wires on straight, which looks a lot cleaner. Plus, having more space just makes the soldering process a lot easier. Let's set this aside for a moment and grab the top plate and our 04 Pro. Start by unscrewing the 4 screws that hold the air unit bracket. Make sure the bracket is oriented correctly and use these shorter screws to secure the air unit.
We're coming back on the air after an interruption due to technical problem.
Now putting this all back together can be a little finicky, so I suggest you mount the small aluminum braces to the air unit first, then mount the whole assembly back onto the frame. We will skip mounting the camera for now, you will see why in a bit. Next up, we attach the 2 antennas. Simply unscrew the 4 hex screws that hold the air unit together and be careful when lifting the lid. There is a ribbon cable connecting the top with the bottom part. Using some tweezers and your fingers, try to align the UFL connector with the connector on the 04. Be careful not to bend them since they're quite fragile. Push down until you hear a satisfying clicking noise. Now we can close her back up and put everything back together. Start by sliding the ELRS receiver between the rear bracket and the 2.4 GHz ELRS antenna. Insert it firmly into the 3D print until the solder pads align perfectly with the edge of the mount, and don't forget to plug in the antenna. You should end up with something looking like this. Next, we're gonna plug in the air unit from the front. That's why we haven't attached the camera yet. This can be a little tedious, but with a pair of tweezers and some patience, totally doable. Now reinstall the 4 bottom screws to secure the top assembly. Before mounting the camera, route the cable underneath the AIO as shown here to keep everything nice and tidy. Secure the camera using the O4 Pro mount screws. You'll notice a small gap of about 0.5 mm between the frame and the screw. This is intentional. It acts as a soft mount to eliminate jello in your video feed. While the camera might feel a bit loose, the rubber padding keeps it locked in during flight, and I haven't had any issues with it. Now is a good time to make sure that no cables are trapped and that the antennas of the air unit are bent upwards as far away from the power leads as possible to keep possible electrical interference to a minimum. We are almost ready for our first flight, but let's head over to the computer first to get everything dialed in. Here's a quick overview of what I'm going to do now if you want to skip right to the end of the video. If you don't know what any of this means, don't worry, just keep following along. Start by opening the ELRS configurator. Make sure to build a firmware that matches the version your radio is currently running. Select the right target for this receiver and make sure all of your settings are correct. Choose a binding phrase if you haven't yet, but keep in mind that your radio needs to be set up with the exact same binding phrase in order for this to work. Now hit Build and drag the file we just created to your desktop. Grab a battery and power up your drone. You might want to use a smoke stopper for your first power up just to be safe. After 60 seconds or so, the blue LED on the ELRS receiver should start flashing rapidly, indicating Wi-Fi mode. Go over to your computer and connect to the ELRS Wi-Fi network. Once connected, this window should open up. If it doesn't, just type this address into your browser's search bar, head over to the update section and drag and drop the file we just created. Don't worry if the window closes mid-update, that should normally be fine. Now wait till the blue LED on your receiver resumes blinking before unplugging the battery. The drone should now be bound to our radio, and we can continue setting this up by heading over to the WalleFPV website and download the flight controller firmware and configuration. Just follow the link in the video description and make sure to download the right files according to your specific build. Next, open up the Betaflight configurator and head over to the Firmware Flasher tab. Click on Load Firmware Local and select the firmware hex file we just downloaded. Hit Flash Firmware and a window will pop up asking you to create a backup of your current config, which is always a good thing to have. Once that it's done, we can click on Connect and it's going to ask if you want to apply the custom defaults, so we just say yes to that. Hit Connect again and ignore this warning since we haven't yet loaded our config file. Head down to the CLI, click on Load from File and select the configuration text file we just downloaded earlier. Hit Execute and it's going to write all of the settings onto our flight controller. Now we're almost ready for our first test flight, just a couple more tweaks inside Betaflight. Hit Connect again and press the Calibrate Accelerometer button. Next, head over to the Configuration tab where we scroll down and disable the Permanently Enable Air Mode feature. I prefer assigning the air mode to a switch on my radio. Hit Save and Reboot and head over to the Presets tab where we search for the ELRS preset. I'm going to load the 250 Hz preset, but I think you could comfortably go even lower depending on your preference and the type of flying you're going to do with this drone. Next up is the PID Tuning tab, where I like to set the motor output limit back to 100%. The idea behind this is to tame the drone's power a bit if you're just starting out with FPV. I suggest though to put this back to 100% and instead set the throttle limit percentage inside the rate profile settings anywhere between 70 and 80%. While we're here, I'm also going to set my rates that I pretty much use on all of my builds. Don't forget to hit Save and head over to the Receiver tab. Here we want to make sure our radio inputs are sent and read correctly. In order to set this up, just move your radio sticks around and make sure all comments match the ones you see on screen. If your inputs don't seem to match, you can switch the channel mapping and try again after you hit save. In the Modes tab is where we can assign our radio switches to different functions. To do this, make sure that in your model mixer settings, the radio switches are assigned to a channel just like you're seeing here. Once you're done, don't forget to hit save. Check your motors are spinning the right direction here in the Motors tab. This is really important. You can use the Reorder Motors button in case one or more spin the wrong way. And lastly, I like to clean up my OSD. I'm only keeping the most crucial information on here while getting rid of the rest. Hit save and that's it. There are many things I appreciate about this drone, starting with the fact that you get all the benefits of the O4 Pro, specifically the video quality and signal penetration, in a build that literally fits in the palm of your hand. I also value that the all-in-one flight controller comes pre-assembled, which keeps the required soldering to an absolute minimum. The design is not only stylish, but the drone also handled all of my crashes impressively well without any major damage. Despite its fragile appearance, the build seems to be exceptionally solid and tough. Moving on to the elephant in the room, the O4 camera is obviously quite exposed, so I highly recommend using UV or ND filters on every flight to shield this critical component from damage. I believe this was a deliberate design choice, as keeping the build this compact requires significant trade-offs. You likely couldn't maintain the specific specs, dimensions and flight characteristics while adding substantial camera protection, especially since every gram is crucial at this scale. And while I love that the all-in-one comes almost entirely pre-soldered and ready to go, I really dislike having to use a micro USB cable every time I need to connect to my computer. It's a genuine inconvenience in this day and age, and I think a USB-C connector would really round off the overall user experience here. Additionally, the power lead situation could be handled more gracefully. On my specific build, there is a bit too much tension on the cable when the battery is plugged in, whereas I personally prefer a bit more slack. The ELRS receiver antenna is also quite exposed and prone to ripping off in a crash, so it might make sense to flip the receiver so the UFL connector faces downwards, though I haven't tested that configuration yet. I've been getting flight times anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes, which is what I would expect from a build like this, but it really gets me thinking about whether a similar O4 Pro build could be paired with an 18650 battery for some seriously extended flight times. That would honestly open up so many more doors for unique shots, as the battery is definitely the main thing holding this back from any real long-range potential. If a build like that is already out there, definitely let me know down in the comments. Despite those earlier mentioned minor gripes, I really enjoyed the building process and love the compact form factor and quick camera angle adjustment, which makes it incredibly versatile for both indoor and outdoor shots, provided the wind is manageable. I treat this primarily as a tiny cinematic rig. While it's certainly quick and nimble enough to chase fast-moving objects, I wouldn't grab this for a hard freestyle session, mainly because the 3S battery feels somewhat underpowered compared to modern 4S or 6S freestyle setups. That's all for today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so I can keep creating more content like this for you. If you have any questions at all, just drop them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to help you out. Have a great day and happy flying!